Jody Hobbs, President of Survivors of Institutional Abuse. Dear President Hobbs, I am pleased to submit this letter in recognition of the Survivors of Institutional Abuse and its first annual convention, United with One Voice. The message to empower and aid in the healing of adults who have been subject to institutional abuse at juvenile detention and foster care facilities is an important one. Hopefully this first annual conference will not only allow victims of abuse to come together for healing and empowerment, but also bring much needed public awareness to this urgent issue. There are tens of thousands of teenagers enrolled in residential programs throughout the United States. Unfortunately, because of the loose patchwork of federal, state, and local oversight, children at some of these programs have been subjected to abuse and neglect. Some have tragically died from negligence or ignorance, with little to no accountability of the programs or the individuals who operate them. In addition, children attending these residential treatment programs may have no knowledge of past abuses, nor do they have a vehicle for reporting abusive practices. Parents of these children may also be unaware of the dangers their children face, or the lack of remedies to address bad situations because of inadequate reporting and deceptive marketing practices. It is clear that oversight of private and public residential programs is in need of reform. To address the systemic lack of accountability within residential programs, I reintroduced the Stop Child Abuse in Residential Programs for Teens Act in the 112th Congress. This legislation provides basic health and safety standards for children enrolled in these programs, while also ensuring programs are accountable to all stakeholders. In order to improve the standard of care in this industry, it is important to consistently shed light on the urgent need for reform. Community events are instrumental in that effort. Hopefully, with continued advocacy and increased public awareness, all residential programs will be free of abusive practices. Parents will be empowered to make safe choices for their children, and children will receive the services they need to be healthy. Sincerely, Congressman George Miller, Senior Democrat of California. I'm leaving the letter right here on this table at your leisure. Feel free to inspect it. I want to say personally, it's been truly a joy, privilege, and honor to be with you folks this weekend. When I first heard about these programs, I was naive. I don't think that's unusual. I think way more than 90% of Americans are naive. I think way more than 90% of Americans want to help all of you. I mean, the few Americans that support torture and child abuse and sexual abuse and horrific things that we've seen in these documentaries that we've heard from your personal stories are tiny. That means that you have the majority on your side, the vast majority. I don't mean 50%, I mean 95, 98%. As I said last night when I was getting mad, as I often do, at the people who tell you to forgive and forget. You know, if you support this kind of abuse, then you yourself need treatment, mental treatment. You probably should be in a ward somewhere. Look, I came on this issue as a matter of politics. I came on because I'm a political radio host. I came on because Mel Sembler was a Bush crony, and I didn't like that these cronies were ambassador to Italy and Australia. If you listen to my earlier radio shows, which you can still find on my internet site, and by the way, I have cards for everyone. If you haven't gotten a card, please take my card and check out my internet site. Because the two recent programs I've done on this, I've linked back to the ones I did in '05, where you'll hear a very naive radio host, that's me, say, really? 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 No, wait, did they really do that? And the more I heard from person after person of all different backgrounds, men and women, boys and girls, young and old, black and white, all different religious faiths, you know, maybe, okay, one person can make something up, maybe two, maybe three, 100 cannot. And too many patterns are repeating. And the patterns of not being allowed to talk to your parents, it's, once you cut off and out, once you don't allow someone to dial 911, that to me means immediately that someone's in trouble. And it was clear to me that these things are worse than prison. I want to thank Marcus Sheffield sitting in the back for bringing me back to this discussion. I did shows in '05. I did a first show, I got so upset, I did a second show on it right following about it. And then things went away for a time. I was mostly at that time focused on Straits, which was the only one I'd heard about, and Straight was closed down. So it still disgusted me that the founder of this abusive facility was getting all this power in Republican political circles. I'm still disgusted by that, by the way. But in my mind, and I should apologize to you, because in my mind I thought, well, okay, straight was disgusting and awful, but it's gone now. And that was naive on my part again, and so I again apologize for that. And Marcus apparently was doing some research, found my old radio show, contacted me and said, hey Mark, you know, these things are still going on. This isn't just what happened in the past. And I did some more research, he gave me some more research, and I discovered, to my dismay, that of course he's absolutely right. These things are not just things of our past, they are of our present, they are of our future, they need to be stopped. So I went away for a few years, I won't go away again. I will commit to you that every 3 months I will do at least one radio show on this topic until all these places are shut down, until we have legislation to shut these things down. I'm a fairly low-level guy. I'm trying to get a national radio show. I'm trying to get a national TV show. Right now it's mostly local. I do fill in for Leslie Marshall. That's 70 stations nationwide. And I've made sure that when I've talked about this subject, it's been when I get 70 stations listening and not just my home station in Washington, D.C. This is something that has to stop.